So Keith,
Yeah.
gosh, man, I just really, really wish there was we're talking about big things happening in the automotive industry, and this is a big one. And I find it to be more so just because of where it's going to be, more so than anything. So Honda has apparently decided to build a EV battery plant here in the U.S., and the information that we have says that it's going to be somewhere in Ohio. We don't have the exact location as of yet. But
I hate to say I told you so.
We did, and it's going to be at the cost of around $4.4 billion. That is with a B, $4.4 billion. So, who are they going to partner up with? LG Energy Solution has teamed up with these guys, which they were already teamed up anyway.
Which
we brought that to
LG is
ago.
also in partnership, if I'm not mistaken, with Ultium, with GM.
That is correct. There's a lot of moving pieces to this.
So the reason LG is a desirable partner is because... Okay, and if I may digress here for just a minute, Jay,
sure.
Look, everybody, this is nothing new in the automotive industry. When new technology enters an automobile and these manufacturers start to include that technology, that tech, they tend to lean on companies that have gone down that road before. So, for example, infotainment systems started showing up in cars. Ford, GM, Chrysler, Toyota, all of them partnered with other companies to put that, because they're not making radios. Toyota's not making radios, right? They're partnering with another company to do that. Anytime there's a technological advancement and it's something that I just can't use the word tech enough here, that it's really more technology centric than, let's say, axles or, brakes. Ford's going to lean on, Honda's going to lean on, GM's going to lean on companies that have that experience. And that's why LG keeps getting tapped to be a partner. Absolutely.
This is what they do. And Honda would rather invest their money mainly into their automotive side or their other ventures like their motorcycles and other things. I mean, they even do generators. They're
airplanes,
small engine
generators.
Stuff.
Yeah, man,
absolutely. They're all over the place. So they've got a lot of energy and financial clout that's going to go in that direction. And partnering up with LG makes sense because this is what LG does. This is their. So I mean, LG's not going to go out and build a car. They're going to go tap into somebody to help them build that car, and we'll get into somebody who's doing the same thing here momentarily because this is why this is important. And I think that this is interesting. Here's what they say, though. The construction of the new facility located about 40 miles southwest of Columbus. And again, we don't have the exact location outside of Columbus, but that's pretty good for that area.
Well, the good news is if those Lordstown employees end up out of work, they could just drive right over to the new Honda.
Ooh, man. Are they not already out of work? Oh, my goodness, yes.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So, anyway, they're expected to begin construction in early 2023, followed by mass production of the lithium-ion batteries by the end of 2025. They said that the plan is expected to cost $3.5 billion with an overall investment by the unnamed joint venture eventually reaching $4.4 billion, the company said.
But wait, there's more.
In addition to the new battery plant, Honda on Tuesday said it plans to invest $700 million to retool several of its existing auto and powertrain plants for production of EVs. The Japanese automaker expects to begin production and sales of EVs in North America in 2026.
So
wow.
That means a year and a half to 2 years from now, we start seeing prototypes and press releases on those Honda / Sony / Sonda. Honda.
That's right.
It's called Sony Honda.
It's called Sony Honda Mobility.
Yeah. We got to come up with a better name for it than that. Shonda?
Shonda. Ooh, I like that. Sonda.
So I gotta say, like, the same.
How about Honey?
Yeah, the same young gentleman that
Shoney's.
I awarded the hat to.
Shoney. Oh no, that's Big Boys. That's
taken,
a burger joint.
The bear would, yeah. So
right.
the young man that I awarded a hat to, wisecracked about, like, are they going to run it with like a PlayStation OS, or what are we talking about here? Like,
It could, man. You never know. Hey, maybe if you buy one of those new Rolls Royce or Cadillac Celestiq, you might have that opportunity to be in there. So anyway. This is a big deal for both Honda, LG, Sony, period. Sony, just like LG, is not a car manufacturer, so they have to partner up with someone, and Honda was that go-to.
Yeah.
What we found interesting about this, and they're saying too, by the way, Honda and Sony did not say where in the U.S. that they would be built based on the information that we could find, but they say we think that it's likely going to be in Ohio as well, which totally makes sense logistically.
Right.
Just like what GM has done with the Ultium battery plants, and then what they did with the retooling of the Spring Hill plant down in Tennessee. Makes complete sense logistically. It's cost effective. But here's what's interesting, though. This is like the first time a Japanese manufacturer would build a vehicle in the U.S. to export to Japan, which I found very interesting. But it makes sense in the long run for all these manufacturers. And Keith, you probably know why. Remember what was just passed. You've got the new bills that are passed, the infrastructure bills, and all these things are playing into this.
There's incentives to buy
Exactly.
electric vehicles, but also we're kind of technology forward. So this is a fascinating shift for me. So I remember in the Back to the Future movie, I think there was a line where they said, like, well, all the best stuff comes from Japan, right? And they were talking about like technology, like. Right. The JVC handheld camcorders, and Japan in a lot of ways in the 80s was the pioneer that came out with, the best VHS players, the best CD players, the best, the Walkman, right? That was all, Walkman was Sony. That's all.
Oh, yeah. I had a CD Walkman.
That has shifted to where a lot of the development is now happening in the U.S. and the United States has become the leader from a technology. I mean, think about iPhones from a technology perspective, all the, Apple Watch and so on. And, the one, Jay and I don't think the mics were rolling when we started talking about this, but I'm jonesing for a one wheel. And one wheel is, I think it's Santa Clara is where they're manufactured. Well, the company is based out of Northern California in the tech corridor. A lot of the components, of course, like the batteries and stuff, I think come from China. But that was a company founded in California. And that is a very, like, I just got back from a Disney trip and, reading like the rules, because you can drive golf carts in the campground.
Right.
And, we're looking through the rules, like, can I ride my Segway? Can I ride, like, do they allow e-bikes? Like, I saw a guy on a one wheel, and he was like, yeah, man, like, and so there's these terms. If you go and you read the campground policy, they allow what they call PEVs, which is personal electric vehicles. And it's a term I'd not heard of before. And that usually covers like your kick scooters and your Segways, and I think even the one wheel falls in that category.
I don't think you can avoid them these days.
So we are. I'll bring this back full circle. We have become kind of a technology forward country, especially around rechargeable tech, and that is why Sony said, "Hey, we're going to release this in the U.S. first, as opposed to Europe or Japan or other parts of Asia, whatever, right? They're going to do it here first."
Right. Well, there's a lot of incentive for them to do that too, for a lot of reasons. They get a lot of breaks to build them here. Part of that infrastructure bill encourages the sourcing of product for anything built in the U.S. there's been such a shift. I mean, if anything we've learned from COVID is you can't put all of your eggs in one basket. And that's what a lot of these manufacturers did during COVID, and we ended up with the shortages. We ended up with a chip shortage. Now we've got this multi-billion-dollar, the largest chip plant being built in the U.S. Now we've got these huge LG building a $3.3 billion battery plant. You've got GM that's built the Ultium battery plants. We've got all these investments going into the U.S. so that it's here. And what's going to happen is you're going to see a shift in export. I think export will go up. Import obviously will come down. And that it kind of works that way. It's just naturally it works that way. So this is pretty interesting, an interesting shift to me to see this. I think it's exciting because it's going to create a ton of jobs for people. I know there's been that fear over the last several years. And who isn't just pulling their hair out over inflation? Inflation right now is ridiculous. But I think it kind of makes people sit back and kind of rethink how they're doing things, and that's exactly what you have going on here. And so I'm excited for Honda and Sony and LG to be on top of this stuff. And we, as the Parts Counter Gurus, will continue to bring you updates on these stories as they become available. So good luck to Sony, Honda, and LG. And Ohio, good for you winning the lottery.